Okay, this is going to be the first video on adaptive immunity, or the introduction to this. As you recall, in class we talked about that there are two different types or two different categories of immunity that your body has. There's innate immunity, also known as non-specific, and then there's adaptive immunity, which is known as specific immunity. In class we talked about innate. And innate is the immune system that you were born with, okay? You don't have to be exposed to something in order to stimulate the immunity. And the innate system will treat everything, generally speaking, the same way. So we have a physical barrier, such as your skin or mucous membranes. And right now with COVID-19, you're hearing a lot about don't touch your face. Specifically, they're saying don't touch your eyes and mouth and nose because those are where mucous membranes are, okay? So that's going to be a physical barrier that prevents things from entering. That's why you wash your hands. The non-specific internal defense, so let's say the bacteria actually penetrates the skin or it gets into the mucous membrane, then there is a second layer of defense that are non-specific but for internal issues. And we spoke of a couple different types of cells, and as you can see on this page here, what we're looking at, there's macrophages, there's dendritic cells, there's natural killer cells. Remember, natural killer secretes the perforins and granzymes. Remember what those things do. We briefly talked about the chemicals, or we just really mentioned one chemical. There's a few others, but we talked about interferon. We talked about alpha, beta, and gamma interferon and what those functions are. We also spoke of inflammation and fever. Okay, so that was as well as a few opsonizations and the complement. We spoke about that as well. So this one we're going to talk about adaptive immunity. Adaptive or specific immunity is very specific to a certain antigen, okay? And so it's not looking at anything else but a very, very, very specific antigen. Now, when you're looking at adaptive immunity, it's a little bit slower. So it takes 3 days, 2-3 days to start ramping up, whereas innate immunity, your skin is blocking everything instantaneously, okay? Adaptive immunity basically means, okay, I have to be exposed to something. Your body has to then recognize what that something is, then initiate a defense against it. So that process of initiating the defense process is what we're going to talk about. The first thing, adaptive immunity, this is going to be dealing with the various lymphocytes, so the T lymphocytes or B lymphocytes, T cells or B cells. And so we'll talk about much more detail on those. But first, let's talk about how your body determines what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. Okay, so let's look at how the body determines self, what's supposed to be there, and non-self, what's not supposed to be there. So on the next video, let's look at that one.